21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
For me, love is like divine, universe. You know, love is it's pretty big. And I think it sits right in, well, for me, it sits right in my heart. I know that sounds kind of contrary, but like it sits right there and I feel it. You know, I feel when I'm feeling love or when I'm not feeling love. But once you start loving yourself, which could happen in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. I've been working with people my whole life. I've been able to see when that moment has changed for them. A lot of it comes when I see it, it's because they're no longer telling me like, I hate my hair. And, you know, I hate to say this is sad, but, you know, I do my clients' daughters, right? And then to have a daughter in my chair with the mom saying, well, she's got pretty crappy hair. Blah, blah, blah. You know, it just breaks my heart because that's what now that young girl is going to adopt, right? But that same mom someday in my life when I'm doing her hair where I see the switch and now I know she loves herself because she's not saying that story anymore. So I think that once you start loving yourself, I mean, love just shows up in so many ways and your life becomes so full and everything comes back to you as love, right? So I don't know if that's really the answer because there's a lot of love. There's a lot of people to love out there, right? Because I love my mom or she's passed, but I love my parents. I love my siblings. I love my kids. I love my husband. And they're all very different loves. But I guess it's all unconditional and it can't happen until you unconditionally love yourself. You have pretty great hair. Let me think. You look really good, Martin. You're stumping me to think. But I always do get that question. What would you do with my hair if you could do anything? I think that it looks like to me you have some great hair. So I would probably put embellish in it pretty quick. That's my styling product. And just get it a little messy on the messy side because you look like you have this kind of fun-loving personality. So I would be pretty quick to want to like just kind of funky up a little bit. But I love the beard, I will say, or the goatee. We want to call it the goatee. Love that. I built Calista literally one brick at a time. I started as a hairstylist. I ended up opening my own salon that now currently services 1,000 clients a week. And that was 30 years, a little over 30 years ago. And 10 years ago, we started developing hair products and tools to help, you know, people feel beauty brave, not just when they leave the salon, but all the time. And I just had this, you know, incubator of clients all the time telling me what they needed. And I didn't always have the solutions for them. And that's really where the product line gave birth, just from listening to their needs. And I do feel like I've been on this lifetime mission of making others feel brave about their beauty. And it started very young. I was cutting hair at 10. It was mostly just all my dolls, my clients. So I was doing every single doll that I owned would always have a Maria haircut. But what was funny is when I was 12, my best friend who was like going through kind of a tough partner life, her parents were getting divorced and she wasn't going to go to this boy girl party that was the first one. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, she didn't feel good. And I'm like, let's permanent cut your hair. I think if I do that, you're going to feel really good. And I never did it before. We were both 12 years old. I don't know what I was thinking. We walked up to the little corner store and I bought everything I needed. And we went back to the third floor bathroom to hide from her mom. And like, I permed and cut her hair. And I'm telling you, we went to that party, which was like up the street. So we walked up the street and she was the belle of the ball. Everybody was like all over Mary. She's floating around. And it was that moment that I knew I was going to do this the rest of my life because I had already been doing it. But I just was like, oh my God, like and the thing that I think is interesting is that you can, you know, I saw the bravery that brought to her because of the confidence and everything, but in return, it was really me taking that courage, that step of, being brave to do it. Because believe me, I didn't know what I was doing, obviously, but I did it. And I do think that, I literally, Martin, I'm launching well, my book is launching this month, actually, and it's called Becoming BeautyBrave. And so I've been, my story is all about becoming beauty brave, but I also think it's about being business brave. And I think all those little, it's really about starting to become very comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's really the bottom line. When a lot of things I don't want to do, and I just tell myself, do it. Even like I was telling you with my kids, sometimes my children, like, I want to ask the question, but I don't want them to think I'm like prying or like, and then I'm like, wait, just ask the question. It's the right, you need to know. Like, so it might feel awkward, or it all depends on the subject matter. But I think that over the last 30 years in this business, being uncomfortable is what I've really learned. Like, to get comfortable with that has been big for me. So anyway, that's kind of my little story in the business. There's a lot in there. I was a competitive stylist. I went into business with my partner, who's my partner, like, but all these different things kind of led up to me learning how to create products. And what happened is clients were starting to say, like, hey, like, I really need, like, when you do my hair, it looks like this and that. And I go home, it doesn't happen, like, and that's when I started working with the people I knew in the business and creating what I wanted. And now we have this business that's, we're one of the top hair care brands on QVC, which is awesome. And we've kind of segued into our own digital platform as well. And I will have to attribute it all to that I don't feel like it's a job. I love what I do. I have a lot of passion around it.
Any
Mhm.
tipping points in your life? Any stories you want to share?
Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable is about getting better at being brave too. And I mean, from as little as a story of like the first customer in my chair that complained to my boss, told him I should get fired. I'm the worst stylist she's ever sat, um, and instead of just quitting, which is really what I wanted to do, um, just kind of, and I thought she was wrong too, of course, because she asked for what I did. But instead of like just laying into that and saying, well, she's wrong or any of this stuff, I just took a step back and thought through, okay, it's not the way she's saying, it's what she's saying. Let's hear it. Can it help me improve? Which of course it did, because I learned with her that sometimes people don't say what they mean. And what she was asking for is not what she wanted. How would I have known that at a young age? Like, so learning how to pull those things out, and then going into, like, even with the salon, like, there were a lot of times where my employees didn't like the things I was doing. And that was really hard. I mean, I was a young entrepreneur. So I was 23 years old. A lot of my employees were older than me. And, I found it really hard when they kind of were approaching it like, you don't know anything. And then I would second guess, like, I guess I don't know anything. But you know what? I did. I took the courage to do it. They can, if they wanted to, they didn't, right? Like, and I remember a couple of employees, there were times where my partner was older than I was. And I remember going to him and saying, listen, I'll work for you, but I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I can't, these people, it's just crazy. Like, I'm going home crying at night because I can't believe how they treat their employer. And then I remembered the next morning, luckily, I must have had a good dream, because when I woke up and was driving to work, I thought, really, you're going to let that lady decide what the rest of your career is going to be? You're going to quit and go back to being just a hairstylist because somebody's telling you she didn't like what you told her. And so, I mean, luckily I plugged through 30 years later, same company. But at QVC, there's so many times where you'll go on air and you do this great job and everybody's applauding you. And literally a week later, you could do the same exact job and there's no sales. Like, it's like crickets out there. And I would walk out to the parking lot like, what am I doing? I need to quit. For some reason, my fight or flight is, let's quit this. And so, and then I got to talk myself off the ledge. And just recently, we just had a great launch. We're having a great year over there. Business has been booming. And I started thinking about the amount of times I walked out of there wanting to quit. And how I just, again, got comfortable with being uncomfortable. I didn't like not being the star of the show, or I didn't like not, there's a goal to hit and I wasn't hitting it. So, you feel less than. And believe me, with social media, people are saying the not nice stuff constantly, about my work or how I might look on air or whatever. I mean, luckily, there's more people saying good things. But I teach this to my stylists all the time because somebody will complain about their work, just like me 30 years ago, and they want to quit. And I'm like, wow, that's funny because you did I think 75 people in the last couple of weeks, and one person complained and now you want to quit. And so I've learned that the uncomfortable is no big deal. It goes away just like the tide comes in and out. It's gone as quick as it comes.
Did you learn any techniques, specific techniques, like anti-stress techniques, like anything, way of thinking or breathing or?
Yeah. So I would say that I've been a yogi now for 15 years, and I've been on air for just about that amount of time. Well, no, I probably 10 years. So I was good into my practice 5 years. And there were times that I remember one time very clearly, like I got up, was waiting I was on the set waiting because I was next, and it was Joan Rivers that was on before me. And she was brilliant, obviously, at it, and funny at the same time, selling so well and all this stuff. And I just felt like, oh crap, what am I doing here? Like, I hadn't even been on television that much at that point or whatever. Like, I'm like, what am I thinking? But luckily, because of yoga, I just breathed for a minute. Like, I just knew to stop, breathe in, hold it, breathe out, make that space in my nervous system to calm down. And I went on air, and I knew that day, I'm like, wow, yoga is really good. Like, this is a good thing for me, at least. And then now I went into I have a meditation practice, and I'm even working with a meditation coach right now. And I think the meditation, that gives me space between when I react, you know what I mean? Like, gives me a minute before, what happens and how I react. So yeah, meditation's really, really big. And another thing I want to say that has always helped me, because I was a young entrepreneur, right? 23 years old. I've had an executive coach probably since I've been about 25. I've had a couple for different reasons or whatever, if somebody moves away, but working with a coach is really, I work with a coach now still. I remember younger thinking I don't have a boss. Like, who's my coach? Like, who sits me down and tells me, helps me, mentor me, if I'm the boss, like, who's doing that? And luckily a client turned me on to an executive coach, and turned my business around. And now the coach that I work with, turns my life around constantly, keeps me centered, and probably helps me with being uncomfortable, comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Okay, Maria, and what about your organization, your organizational structure, and your growth over the years?
Our company, like I had said in the beginning, I built it brick by brick. It's a very organic company. I didn't, we're not even in a major metropolitan area. I don't have any strong ties to somebody in the industry that's where I could just knock on the door and say, will you take my product in? Everything's, I just want to say it's been earned. And not that I think all entrepreneurs earn it, but I think there's a little bit of a false pretense sometimes that, you're going to be this overnight sensation. And you know what? You can be. That does happen. We know people it happens to. But what's worse is when an entrepreneur, because it's not happening, then stops, right? Because they think I've been doing this for 5 years. What the heck? As far as the product line goes, it's been, 13 years. I mean, it's kind of like 10 years, but the 3 years prior making the product, launching it. And I think we're just hitting our stride. I call us a startup right now. And I'm hoping to see some really great things in the next 5 years. But it's this first 13 that we scratched and pawed our own way through to let this, hopefully next 5, make a difference. And to be honest, we've always had this nice steady growth, and all of my businesses have this steady growth. So that's good, right? Like, you don't always have to, all of a sudden triple, double, quadruple, like steady growth is better than not growing. And believe me, there's been years where we've backtracked, and then I look at it like, okay, are we going backwards to go forwards, or did we just go backwards? So I definitely, I think that the slower growth has probably been, like, I think it's been beneficial. I think it makes us a stronger stake in the ground. Because when I even look at my salon and spa, that's 30 years, like, it's hard to shake that place. I could have 10 employees walk out on me tomorrow and it'll still be there and it'll still be successful. And the clients are still going to come. They're just going to go to different people, but it's something that I built, they know. And I think that's what we're building with the product brand right now. Like, people are trusting us. So when I launch a new tool, we have great success now because they've seen, like, this isn't a fly by night. Like, she puts great stuff. She's it's going to be good for my hair. It's going to be easier for me to do. It's going to be faster. She does that every single time she brings something. So I need something like that. And I can trust that one's going to be the best one because she's doing it.
Who's on the front line? Are you still on the front line?
Up until this point, I've been the face of the brand. I was the face of the salon and spa, and I was training all the staff so they knew that my work was going to show and everybody. But right now I'm the face of the product brand, and every single product and tool that goes out, I've developed. I've been a part, and what's nice is as we build the brand, there's some people coming to me now, manufacturers that I don't work with, that says, hey, I noticed that, your brand, and we just have this tool that I think would be really great in your brand, right? So then I'll look at it and I'll test it, and maybe I'll say, it would be great if this was different about it. Can you do that for me? Because my clients I know need this or whatever. So I'm still very much, very, very, very much involved. And I love what I do. So I never feel like overwhelmed or I'm not doing it. I also think that I always tell my children, and I would watch my kids, and when they were doing something where they didn't even know what time it was, like, I'm like, did you realize you just spent 2 hours doing that? Like, to me, that's what you should do for a living. Because if you lose like track of time and, that would be, if I was an accountant, I would be like every minute, like, am I done work? Am I done work? Am I done work? Because like, that's not my thing. That, like, I love numbers, but if I had to do that every day, so the good news is I'm still the face of the brand, but I still love what I do. So I'll probably be the face of the brand until I feel that it's time to move out of that position. And as we grow and bring more people on that can do what I can do. Building a big clientele pretty quickly. It was fun to go into a salon and spa, then I could offer the way I did clients' hair to like more people. And then with the product line, like, that was so natural because it was like, okay, now we can get these tips and tricks out to everybody. And so we do a lot of online, our website's all about education. My whole career has been all about education for myself, for my staff, now for my clients, right? So there's always how-tos, tips and tricks. I'm always on social media doing lives just to give you a trick on what to do with your hair, your aging hair, your curly hair, because I do all clients, all, it's equal diversity for everyone, all hair types. So, and I think for the future, like, when I wrote the book, Becoming BeautyBrave, it was a little bit of a bucket list thing because I always said I would write a book. And I, again, was very uncomfortable. After I signed up to do it, I was like, wait, what was I thinking? Because I actually wrote the book. I didn't have a ghostwriter. Like, I wrote the book.
So no ghostwriting.
Huh?
No ghostwriting.
No ghostwriting. No, I just wrote the book. So, and it was kind of like, there was points where I was like, again, like, what am I doing? I wanted to quit. But I trudged through, and I even things that I didn't think I wanted to write about, I wrote about, with the intention that help others become beauty brave, And so, what I like about the book a lot, it shares a lot, and it shares a lot of my stories, and it's very motivating. And it's also gives people a chance to bring out their beauty brave and shows them how. But I think I would love to be able to offer online courses, or even like sometimes Facebook Live, people will chime in. Like there's some of their questions are easy for me to answer. I've been doing this my whole life. So I do want to try to figure out ways where I can work with more people than the people I do just behind my chair, or whatever the case, like reach more people. So I'm hoping to be able to create some courses out of it. People are listening, and I think sometimes you may have a dream, but maybe some people are telling you it's a pipe dream. I happened to enroll myself when I was 14 in beauty school, because remember, at that point, I've been doing hair 4 years, and I was just like, this is what I'm doing. Well, I was academically, I was top in my class. And so I signed up, but then all of a sudden the backlash from the teachers, and you can't do this. They actually told my parents that she's throwing her life away. I mean, you're literally allowing her to throw her future away if, she's not going to go to college. And luckily, my parents stuck up for me and let me do it. That's why I had a salon when I was 23, because I was already licensed before I got out of high school. I'm just going to say that, like, some people may be telling you it's a pipe dream, but if you believe in yourself and just get a little bit of bravery, you don't have to have, I was scared of a lot of things, believe me, just a little bit. You're going to do it. You're definitely going to do it. And I think we're all entrepreneurs. They say that we're all creative, and some people don't believe they're creative, but we are born out of creation. So we all are creative. Believe it or not, we're all entrepreneurs. It's in there. We sell ourselves every day. You sell yourself to the man that you want to meet, or the woman that you want to meet, or whatever. Like you sell people on stuff constantly. So I say go for it. And one thing I say all the time is, like, all you got to do is shoot for the moon, because even if you don't hit the moon and you fall into the stars, you're going to be doing great. So that's one thing I say, go for it. They're really not pipe dreams. They're your dreams, and you can make them happen. I've watched it doesn't matter if it's a man, a woman, it doesn't matter who's in my chair. But when I elevate the way they look, obviously it's the way they feel, and it changes their life. Like, it literally, I love Coco Chanel's quote is, you cut a woman's hair, you'll change her life. And like, I've done things to people that have made them get their dream job, get their dream spouse, get their, go for something in their life they didn't think they'd go for, or even give them that little bit more confidence to do it, right? Like, they already decided they're gonna go for that interview. They come to see me and make sure they feel their best. And for too long, I've had women sit in my chair, more than men, say, when I ask them, oh, like, so, what are we going to do? Like, blah, blah, blah. And they will be pointing out all these bad things. Like, I have horrible hair, my nose is too big, and I'm aging now, my skin. And they'll go on for 5 minutes before I can even get to, like, they're beautiful. Like, you're so beautiful, like, and that's kind of what Beauty Brave's about, is just like, yeah, we could stare at that stuff all day long, but don't, because it doesn't really, it's when you feel good about yourself is really what makes a difference. And I feel like I've made a living at doing that. So I always challenge everybody to be brave, be braver about your beauty than you are now. Doesn't matter. Even if you're very brave right now, be even braver, because it's going to change your life in a way that you never imagined how great your life could be. Our thoughts aren't real, right? So we're just judging ourselves on, if we don't think that we're beautiful, or it's because we've decided something else is beautiful that we're not. And it's not true, right? Because 100 people could say brown eyes are gorgeous and 100 people could say blue eyes are gorgeous, right? Like, it's not true. What's true, it's your thought is not true, is what you believe is true, right? So if you believe you look amazing for your age or whatever. I mean, now I'm getting, I've been doing this a long time, so I'm dealing with a lot of clients that are, getting 50 plus, and the things that they're telling themselves, which is crazy, like just pure craziness. Like, because sometimes I say, well, wait, listen, I mean, do you think you're trying to look 25? I mean, that's false, right? Because you're not going to look 25 at 55, but why would you? You're 55. It's fine. Just like you look great for your age. That's all. And most Europeans, I think, in my experience, my friends, and when I travel, like, Europeans want to look great for their age. Americans want to look younger. So Americans are paying money to turn the time back, like, as long as, I feel great, I feel in great shape, I feel like I can do everything I've always been able to do, like, that's all that really matters. And that's what exudes out. So it's those thoughts that are in her head. Like, if my thought in my head is, I look old, I look overweight, that's what everybody's going to see, because that's the thought that's not even true in my head. If instead I feel like I look great for my age, I take really, I'm taking good care of myself, like, that's what exudes, that's what people say. So I think that confidence changes our lives in so many ways, and it only comes from within inside. And for myself, I do have to regularly, I learned this from Louise Hay a long time ago, look in the mirror and tell myself that I'm beautiful, and look at all the good things that I see, and how I feel so fortunate that I have healthy legs and I'm walking, and, so I do in meditation practices regularly take that time to say all the good things, because the Lord knows your mind is saying all the bad things all the time, right? So combating that with, no, I feel great, I'm so glad. I always kid around about, like, the one thing I kid the most is because, I'm not even 5 foot, right? So I can, if I want, just walk around and say I'm the best NBA and for women, like, best basketball player there is. The chances are odd, I'm pretty sure, but, like, I've seen people do it, and they do it. Like, they overcome such big hurdles because they just believe it. So all you have to do is be brave enough to believe it. Even like you, Martin, asking, like, so how's my hair look? I would just say, if you get a chance, you have to come to calistatools.com, because we really do work hard at making products and tools that make it fun, easy, fast to do your hair. And you won't be disappointed, because there's so many great videos and tips and tricks, and it does change, and it'll completely change your outlook on yourself.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.